breaking the wall between the biomedical and the social among youth in South Africa. Anastasia Koch, Woza, South Africa.
So, what happens when a scientist and an artist walk into a bar? Well, in 2014, when I was a PhD student working long, hard hours in the lab on tuberculosis, a disease that until COVID killed more people than anything else in South Africa, I became surprised and frustrated that I'd never really met anyone with TB, and besides for the slower academic ones, there were no real avenues for me to use my biomedical knowledge to make a more immediate positive impact. I met conceptual artist Ed Young, and we began talking about TB and how it was linked to other social issues facing South Africans. You see, I had never met anyone with TB because TB is a disease of the poor. And South Africa, with a Gini coefficient of 63, is one of the most unequal places on the planet. Here, TB and other diseases are inextricably linked to the social conditions in which they occur. The chance conversation with Ed over a beer sparked Woza's first project, a documentary film that described the thoughts and perspectives of young people from Khayelitsha, a township in Cape Town, about TB. It was only ever going to be a once-off, but the quality of the film and interest from scientists and young people, and thankfully the funders, meant that a project turned into a program, and a program turned into an independent organization. Woza operates at the intersection of public engagement, youth advocacy, science communication, and skills development to bring together the biology of disease with its social impact. We're trying to break down walls between scientists, artists, young people, and people affected by disease. We do this to engender trust so that communities where social injustice meets high rates of disease have the knowledge and agency to make as positive health choices as possible, and so that people in power realize the importance of social impact when trying to combat disease. Woza has a couple of projects on the go, but I want to tell you about two of our intensive engagement projects because that's where my passion and belief in true impact lies. Our first project, Woza Dockies, started in 2014. Here, we bring together we recruit high school learners to an intensive program that combines biomedical research workshops with the provision of equipment and close guidance for learners to tell stories and make documentaries about the lived experience of disease in their neighborhoods. Workshops are designed to equip participants with knowledge, but also to increase soft skills and positive health-seeking behavior, and importantly, to instill a sense of hope and agency among participants. Next up is Alumni Dockies, and I have to say, all the credit for this program goes to Ed. Over a period of 18 months, Ed has managed via informal and on-the-job training to train previous participants of Woza projects in professional documentary filmmaking. These Woza alumni, with no previous filmmaking experience and even tertiary education, now routinely produce documentaries about health that are screened on national news. This generates capacity for the organization and health engagement more broadly, but it also allows for situationally relevant storytelling and representation. So what is our impact? Over the past few years, we've managed to intensively engage over 100 learners via Woza Dockies. This has resulted in the production of 20 documentaries that has been used to reach a broader audience of 2,000 people via screenings and our Growing Schools program. Via Alumni Dockies, over the last 2 years, we've produced 14 documentaries touching on issues such as HIV, gender-based violence, TB, and of course, COVID. While these numbers are really important, more difficult to measure are the personal changes to participants and how they feel about themselves and health, the personal choices that they make, and the impact that slowly ripples through communities. So what about challenges? Well, of course, COVID was a major challenge. It was for everyone, and starting an organization during a hard lockdown was not easy. The pandemic highlighted and reinforced the importance of being okay with uncertainty and remaining absolutely responsive to the changes in the landscape within which we work. This has always been our approach, and thankfully it was, because this experience became essential during COVID. Stepping back and creating a space for people to tell their own stories and making the invisible visible is perhaps our greatest lesson. Our participants are our equal partners, and in many ways, Woza is just a vessel that activates people's potential. And with this, I hope I've been able to tell you what happens when artists and scientists are encouraged to meet in bars. Thank you very much.
No need for the knock-knock. No need for the knock-knock. Well done.
Thank you.
You are on time. So thank you very much for your inspiring talk. We need these kind of projects actually, especially during the pandemic and all of the difficult times that we're passing through right now. It is time now to get questions from our audience and from our jury. So who's going to take the initiative? Who's going to have the first question? I think everyone is just coming back from lunch. Yeah.
Hi, that was really interesting. Sorry if I missed it, but what does Woza mean?
So it's actually an anagram of the founding members' names. So the project started really organically. So it's Ed, Herman, Warner, Olivia, Zanele, and Anastasia. And we basically just needed something to put on the consent forms. And Ed cringes every time now because it's quite cheesy. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So do you have any other questions from, yeah, we have a question here from one of our audience. Fantastic.
Where do you want to take the project further?
So, I mean, I think sustainability is a big question. We want to keep going, and we want to respond to what people need. So, for example, during the pandemic, we never really used to do much science communication, but we realized there was a space for like producing accurate knowledge about the pandemic or media that disseminates accurate knowledge. So we made animations. We get a lot of questions about scaling, so we'd like to move to other areas in South Africa and potentially other parts of Africa as well. But we need to train more people to be able to do that, and so that's a key objective. Yeah.
Amazing. Do we have any other questions? Yes, we have a question here from our online
Yes. One
jury.
online jury asked, beyond the excellent outputs of documentaries and workshops for learners, what long-term health impact are you measuring and how are you planning to do it?
So that's a really good question. We often get questions around whether we think our program or our projects could decrease rates of disease, for example. But I think that's a really tricky question because I think the rates of disease and things like that are really interlinked with other issues in South Africa, the provision and availability of health services. We've recently started a first of many workshops to measure the long-term impact of previous participants. So we hope to have workshops over the longer term. Yeah.
Great. Do you have any more questions from our online or offline audience or jury? No, that's it. Oh, we have another question here.
What has been the most surprising moment for you in this whole process?
There have been a couple. I think one of the most surprising things was when I started working with an artist, and I would talk about research as being sort of hypothesis-driven. So research, you have a hypothesis, you get results, you have a discussion, and you disseminate those results. Whereas for other people in other fields, research is just about listening to people. It's not hypothesis-driven. It's about exploring things. And for me, that was really surprising until I learned about it. Yeah, so thank you.
Great. Yeah. Oh, Woza?
It was yeah.
Yeah, got it.
You.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Massive round of applause here, guys. Thank you very much.